Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to the video. Today we're going to do something out of the ordinary here. We're going to take a day off out of the shop and go jump into my old camouflage truck and drive down to the family hunting grounds. We call it the Caney River bottom because the Caney River goes around it, and it is definitely bottom land. When we get in there, you guys will see there is a little water. Yeah, so many places experiencing drought right now, but it's rained pretty good, and we're going in. We're going to see if we can scrounge up some deer sheds, like their antlers. They lose them every year. That's the difference between antlers and horns. And we're also going to look for morel mushrooms and see if we can't scare up an ornery armadillo that's been digging holes, and maybe send him on to the promised land. Join in, sit back. Hey, you guys, right now, hit that thumbs up button. Leave me a comment on what you think of the video when we get to the end of her. Well, you guys can see a little bit of asphalt, a little bit of dirt road here. We're driving down, and you can see off to the left here we're rolling up on a decent sized house. This is the last house before you go off into the floodplain where you would get wet. It looks really flat right here, but we are going downhill. And I know when I was about 14 or 15 years old, the water was covering this spot where we're at right here. It had a major 100-year flood event, and man, we had a bunch of cows off in this river bottom, and like to not got them all out of there, but we did for sure. But man, the water was about 3.5 feet deep in places where we were trying to go back through here, and it was still coming up. You can see we come uphill here at this old condemned bridge, and the water in that year when it was flooding was washing these boards off of this bridge, and they were floating downstream. So it was extremely deep in here. That's the only issue with this place, is you can't really build anything. But if you look, there's some old redneck up here has taken his fifth wheel and set it up on pipe about 4 foot off the ground for sure, coming up on 5. So you got Yep, as we take off through here, we just drive nice and easy. Off to the right hand side is what we would call the slough. This cuts back off of a creek and curls on back around this thing, connects back up with the river, so it's like a great big island. Yeah, it is, and that's what I've always grown up calling it, is just the island. All these trees we're going by out here, you can tell they're kind of groomed up a little bit. This is a great big pecan grove in here. Back in the 60s, a local farmer slash rancher came in and cleared this and grafted these pecan trees when they were real little sprouts, and they have grown. You can see most of them are pretty darn good size now. They actually came into this field about 3-4 years ago, and they cut about 30% of the trees because they'd gotten so big that they were choking nutrients from one another and weren't really producing very much. So just an active management thing to come in and prune and cut and keep these trees healthy. Because I mean, man, can you imagine? It's been 60 years since they were done, and they're still producing pecans today. And you can see out in here, there's some big open areas. This This spot in here, when I was a kid, was so thick you couldn't hardly walk through it. It had grown back up, but now it's all kind of settled back down, and guys are taking care of it, keeping it looking super nice. And we're just going to keep meandering on around this old oil field road is what it is. Yeah, they come in, they put gravel on it so they can drive in and out of here in any weather, because they have to check their oil wells twice a week. And the price of oil, if it's up, they really want to run this thing hard and make it produce. If the price of oil's down, well, they just pump enough to keep the salt water from taking over their well sites. I'm not an expert on that. I've just watched them in here all my life, fighting the weather and everything else, and pumping oil out of this place. There's one of these big fields back here. It's actually, all the trees were killed off about 50 years ago from a saltwater spill. There's several areas down here where salt water is contaminated the ground, and it's been so long ago now that the ground will grow grasses, and we actually plant food plots in several of those now, but they were a desolate, almost moonscape for so long in there. So as we keep driving here, you notice all the water in the holes and everything. We're coming up into what would be the big hardwoods here. We're coming out of this pecan grove, and you can see there's a fence line here. We're getting ready to go through an old iron gate, and when we go through that gate, everything inside of here is as it was. It's never been logged. It's never had anything really done other than just cut some dead trees or trees that have fallen to make firewood. That's all we've done for the past 30 years in here, is just cut stuff that was already down. When my granddad was still alive, we would cut a few green trees and split it and put it up so that it was seasoned good. But there's been so much stuff die because of ice storm and other things that we haven't had to cut a live tree. So that's cool. And here's one of them old wells that's sucking the oil out of the ground. We call this the first pump jack, because you got to call it something. And then you can just see the amount of water in the road here. Well, it goes off in the timber just like that. It's just a big swampy area up here. And what really blew me away is about 3/4 of the way down this road, all that water just disappeared. So what I think it was one of those spotty rainstorms where, crazy enough, this little area that we're driving through, it gets from wet to dry. There's the second pump jack right there. Let me tell you, this corner right here, this is a heck of a spot to sit and hunt, or just sit and watch wildlife, because the deer and everything come through that pecan grove and come right out through this corner right here. You see more water just keeps going, guys. This place, back before the oil companies were producing heavily in the recent years, this thing was so muddy. We'd have to park the truck and just ride four-wheelers in here because there is no bottom to this stuff. It is just sticky old black gumbo mud. It's good stuff. So as we drive on down the road here, it's just a marvelous day. Look at them blue skies and sun shining. It was about 60 degrees and early spring, where all of the critters aren't out, the ticks and the mosquitoes, and the snakes aren't fully strengthened up yet, so we don't see too many of those things at this point. It's my favorite time to be out here because it's not 10 below zero, and when deer season's open, guys are really serious about this, and they don't want you driving in and out of here, so you can't fiddle fart around. You got to go get where you're going, park, and don't be walking around. But outside of deer season, this is just a little paradise to take a few hours and come down here and just walk around. You can see the old redneck mansion right there, yeah, as we come along. And there was a corner post there back at one point. A gentleman owned some property and had it fenced off separately, but now this is getting close to being two people own all the property on this island at this point. So not a whole lot of folks to deal with, but nobody wants you in here unless you have a key to the gate. This is not the place to be, let me tell you, partner, because folks are real serious about it, and it's an island. There's only one way in and one way out. So we kind of stop here and just check stuff out, looking around. So many different things out there. We were kind of trying to see if there weren't some armadillos hanging out around some of this old deadfall in here. And we're still looking for those mushrooms too. We just keep going, and we'll get out and check out the river here in just a second up here.
That's a big old dog right there.
Yeah, I wonder if it, sure enough, coyote?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it might be crossbred, but that's a
yeah.
coyote track.
Well, you can see their trail, boy. They're just using that old road right in there.
Going through that food plot when it snowed and the day I killed that deer.
Yeah.
There's a trail going down that road. It looks like a deer trail in that snow, but it wasn't. As coyote tracks, about that wide. I mean, it was just solid back and forth.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
That would be cool.
Uh-huh. He's shooting at 300 yards.
Holy
Them other bullets drop so dang much, though, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that when I shot it up at the house.
I guess we just like, just want to make sure I hit something with the dang thing. Yeah. So with those bullets, you ain't got no compensation required. You just... Now, like I said, this place is a ton of fun. Stop off there at the riverbank where it's close to the road and make sure your old gun's shooting good. So if any vermin come out, you could dispatch them and not cause them any misery or suffering. So at this point, we're coming on around in here, and we're going to go to a spot we call the Point or the Sandbar, something like that. Up here is the oil well that's out here on the point. This spot's pretty cool. We're going to stand up on the edge and look at how the river flows and stuff kind of comes together and connects. It's just always blown me away. There weren't any big birds out here other than a couple of buzzards, but there's usually some bald eagles here. There's a nest across the river from this piece of property, and their habitat is just awesome. The nest is huge, and you see them a lot of times just sitting in the trees up here, chillaxing, watching the water, looking for them a fish or something to go snatch up out of there. So let's get out of the truck and walk over here and check this dude out. Here, because my buddy 615, he would want to see all this here river action.
some action. I bought the 12 gauge.
Get the 12 gauge action going.
Yeah, AR-12 is noisy.
Oh, yeah.
And it likes to shoot. And I actually bought one that likes to shoot whatever you want to put in it.
Right, so there you go. Got a slough that travels back this direction. We're facing close to north right here. Water's coming in and it cuts around and makes a huge island out of this place. The division starts here and everything works way around. Comes together about almost a mile from here. I think there's a fish down there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And usually, may just be a stick. It ain't moved.
I know slough dumping muddy water in here.
Uh-huh. So the river's coming down and the slough level's higher, so the water from the slough runs this direction. When the river's coming up, the water level's different and the slough runs the other direction. So you get turned around and you start watching what way the water's flowing there, you better know what's going on or you'd be really turned around.
There's that red cozy up there. Looks like a deer.
Huh? Oh yeah. But
Well, where his antlers are.
oh, she jammed. Yeah, he's dead. Don't worry, little buddy. Ain't gonna hurt no more.
Yeah, I shot one, lost it.
Exactly what we got growing. Probably horse weeds.
Yeah, wild onions right there.
Wild onions.
Deer's been eating them all.
Dang on deer down here. Eating everything.
The babies.
Yep, the babies. Well, this is a cool little place out here. Goes all wrapping around. We're just about 75 or 80 yards down from where we stopped there and looked, and there was a deer carcass laying back there. I don't know that you could hear what my cousin was saying, but it's like it was dead and picked clean, and you know, you just got to play around. So we shot some bone there at this thing. It starts making this bend around, and there's kind of a slow point in the river as it makes this big bend, and it deposits sand over here. And we're going to take off and walk all around this thing, which it's not real wide out here at this point, but it is just cool. You know, any day you can be out in nature and enjoy just that time with family, friends, whatever, cruise around in here. Yep, super fun place to be. You come in, just check stuff out, look at the river, how it's kind of changed things. All these different trees that have fell and washed in, and the bank has changed a bunch here as the water's eroded our side and it's building up on the other side. So I think our property line is actually across the river at this point down here. And that log that's laying on the far side of the bank there, the river used to actually go straight across there and make a big bend and come back around into itself. And some guys back in the WPA days cut that river bank with a slip and horses, and this is the current path of the river. It has been since the 40s. Kind of a crazy deal. I don't know, I haven't verified this. This is just stuff that my granddad told me when I was a kid about this old point up here. We used to drive the old pickup up here and hop out with our catfishing poles and go and try to catch Moby Dick, you know, off in this place. There's some big old fish caught right down here where we're walking to. This is just, like I said, about the favorite place to be when the weather's right. Big old log in the water over there. I hooked a big fish there one day, and he took off and, well, didn't get him. He broke my line. And then this bank right here, this used to be really shallow right there, or a shallow angle where you could just walk right down it. But you better watch out today, buddy. You got to walk around that direction. That's a abrupt drop down. And my cousin's over here, and by golly, there's a snake right there. And we unleash on him, and yeah, he's not going to bother anybody anymore. But he was kind of a pain in the butt for a second there. All right, we walk around here and we're on the other side of the point now. So the water here is eating into the other bank, and it's depositing sand out here. It's kind of crazy. It's like a big old sandbox, I'm telling you. And the only issue is it's covered with what we call porcupine eggs. Yeah, they are actually cuckleburs. So these things are huge plants with giant leaves. So when they're in bloom, this thing is just covered, and you can't see where you're walking. You almost have to cut a path to get down to the water if you want to go and fish down here. And you see this lighter area here. This is where the water level was, you know, for quite a while, but it's been really, really dry. And now you can kind of see the water level was up of about a foot, and it's dropped back down again now, and it continues to fall because of just the way nature works. And we just keep walking around. There's deer tracks, there's cat tracks up here. That was a huge dog track there, but it's probably just one of the neighbor's dogs. I don't think there's any wolves or a coyote that's going to weigh what that footprint put down. You know what I mean? Lots of logs out in there. Just, yeah, nice walk through the river. So here we're up on a little bit higher part of the bank. There's another little wild game trail up here. I was just walking along looking. Looks like a little bobcat highway up here. It'd be kind of cool to nestle down somewhere and sit and just watch them walk along the river and see what kind of trouble they got into down there. They're all the time, you know, hunting and looking for stuff. So they're a lot of fun to watch out in the wild when they're just, they don't know you're there, but you know they're right there because you can see them. You know what I mean? And you just keep on checking them out. So this whole thing, it winds all around here like most rivers do. There's just not a lot of rock in this area, so you got this muddy looking water. You have to go quite a ways away from where I live to get into any place that's got clear streams and that kind of stuff. You get in here and your old clothes come out dyed river bottom mud color. No turkeys. Huh. No. So in the interest of science, we have a 6-month-old beer that's hot. We're going to set her up on the stump over here and slow-mo action for you as my Uncle Buck, Cousin Buck, shoots this sumbitch, and we'll see what happens. Make sure it's shook up good. So, not too far away. We want it to have all of the velocities. Oh!
Easy.
Sucker. Somebody sharpened it. It's a reverse punji stick. Centered in frame here. All right. Okay.
Action.
Oh my, it's awful close. A big old wasp nest in the trees up here. Just waiting to warm up so they can re-inhabitate a new spot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that concludes a wonderful trip off into the river bottom. You can see the old sun is starting to set on us here. Look at how sketchy this old bridge is. There's been a lot of people just scared as crap to drive across this old thing, but hey, it's in pretty good shape today. New boards across there, or recent boards, and you know, we make her just fine because it was built with American pride back in the day. So hey, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yes, I get tired being alone. 'Cause I miss my son. Yes, I miss my wife. But the devil named music is taking my life.